Hughie's Kitchen, and if you are new here then hello and welcome. My name's Alexis and I post 2 videos a week on a Tuesday and a Thursday at 7 AM. So if you love a recipe video like this one and you want to see more, then please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And now I'm going to share with you how to make my delicious salmon and chorizo fish balls on a herb and tomato quinoa. As I just mentioned, today I want to share with you how to make my delicious salmon and chorizo fish balls on a herby tomato quinoa. Now this recipe sounds quite complicated, but it is very simple to make. The fish balls are delicious and they make a really delicious dinner, especially on a Friday night or at the weekend. I would say that this was probably a weekend dish. You could make the fish balls in advance of the meal and then you can just defrost them and cook them off during the week. But I'd definitely say if you're going to cook this, then it's definitely a weekend meal. It is quite time consuming, but the results are worth the effort. So of course, while I was cooking this, I thought I'd share the recipe with you. So here is how to make my delicious salmon and chorizo fish balls on a herby tomato quinoa. Firstly, I'm going to make my salmon and chorizo fish balls, and for this I have about 4 pieces of salmon, which I think adds up to about 500-600 grams of salmon. I've removed the skin and I'm just going to pop this into my food processor like so. And then I also have some chorizo here as well. And the chorizo, I have about 90 grams and I've removed the skin from that, and then I've just chopped it into small pieces, like 1/2 centimetre pieces, and I'm going to put that into my blender as well. And as I've been dealing with meat and fish with my one hand, I'm going to wash my hands now. And while I was preparing my ingredients, what I did was I got about 4 tablespoons, heaped tablespoons of almond flour, and I added water to that, about 4 tablespoons of water, and I'm just going to add that in with my mixture, and that's going to act like an egg and help to bind all of the ingredients together. And then all I'm going to do for these fish balls is just add a pinch of salt, like so. Salt and pepper to your taste, or if you don't want it then you don't have to have it either. A little bit of pepper. We don't like it too peppery, but a little bit's okay. And then I'm just going to blend all of these ingredients together now. Have been blended together like so, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make them into fish balls. So I'm just going to try and remove some of the mixture from the blade like so. I'll just put that down there for the moment, and now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to roll these together. So what I've done is I've dampened my hands so that the mixture doesn't stick. So I'm just going to get a spoonful each time, and I'm just going to roll it between the palms of my hands like so, and I'm just going to make a little ball, and I'm going to put that onto a plate. So I'm just going to repeat this process now until I've used up all of the mixture. I've finished making the salmon and chorizo fish balls, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these into the fridge for a good few hours to let them harden, so that when they go into the oven onto a baking tray, they will start cooking immediately. So when they're colder, the fat tends to come out of them a lot easier, and it will make them really nice and juicy as well. So as I said, I'm off to put these into the fridge now. It's almost dinner time, so I'm going to preheat my oven to 200 degrees. Now that my oven is preheating, I'm going to cook the quinoa. So what I've done for this recipe is I've put a large saucepan and I'm going to put that onto a high heat on the hob, and then I'm going to add a little bit of oil to the base of the pan, like so. And I'm going to leave my pan to heat up now. Pan is getting nice and hot now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an onion that I've peeled, sliced and diced. This was a small red onion. This is because I'm making this for my husband, myself and my son. So I'm only doing about half the original recipe. Well, half and a little portion. So I'm only making this for two and a small one. So that's why I'm halving all the ingredients. But in the original recipe, it did say it serves 4, so if you wanted to make it for 4, then you could use a larger onion. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fry the onion until it starts to soften. My onion has started to soften and it's starting to go a little bit brown as well, so that's perfect. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in the courgette. So I've peeled and grated 1 courgette. And the reason I peel and grate the courgette is because my son doesn't really like chunks of it in his food, so I always try to hide it in any dinners that I make. I know it's naughty of me, but it's the only way I can get vegetables into him sometimes. So yeah, so I'm just going to fry the courgette for a further few minutes. But I'm actually going to turn down the heat a little because the courgette is starting to stick to the bottom. And I'm going to add a little bit of water to the base of that pan as well. And then I'm just going to continue to fry the courgette and the onions together. Now, the courgette and the onions have all started to soften beautifully together now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in my quinoa to this as well. So in here I have halved and then added a little one, so I've got about 150 plus about 30 for Ted. So yeah, in the original recipe I think I said to use 300 grams, and what I've done is I've just washed the quinoa through the colander over the sink, and then I have just drained it off and then put it into this pan like so. And I'm going to fry this for about 30 seconds or so, like you would with risotto rice. When you make a risotto, you normally fry it off for about 30 seconds to a minute. And it's just to basically heat it through. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in a tin of tomatoes to this as well. So I've got 1 tin of tomatoes. And then to cook the stock, I'm going to be cooking it in chicken stock. You can use vegetable, or you could use bone broth if you wanted to, or whatever you have to hand. You could also use water as well. And I'm just going to pour the chicken stock into the tin, just to get rid of the juice from around the outside. And I'm using about 400 grams of chicken stock, 400 mils of chicken stock, which I think is about enough. If you're making more, then I would use about 600 grams. And what I did was I made sure I covered all of the quinoa and the other ingredients, and then I've put enough in to, it's about 2 centimetres up from the bottom of the top of the ingredients. So I think that's about enough liquid in that pan to cook it perfectly now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a lid and I'm going to bring this to the boil. No, I'm not actually. I'm going to add in some dried mixed herbs and some salt and pepper as well. So let me just grab a spoon. So I'm going to add 1 and then 2, and I'll just go and get some salt and pepper. So I'm also going to add in a pinch of salt to this as well, and a little bit of pepper. And with the dried mixed herbs, if you want it more herby, then you could use 4 teaspoons or 3. I said 2 to 4 in the original recipe. I find 2 is perfect for us, but some people might like more herbs than that, so yes. So anyway, now I'm going to put my lid on and I'm going to bring all of these ingredients to the boil. So again, I'm not having much luck today. I've forgotten to add in my tomato puree and the tamari as well. So I'm going to add about a tablespoon of tomato puree. I think in the original recipe I said 2, and I'll add in a tablespoon of like soya sauce. This is, so it's fermented soya sauce, and it's very tasty. It makes everything really tasty, so we like it in this house. So I'm going to add in a tablespoon of that as well. And now I'm definitely going to bring this to the boil. So my pan has come to the boil, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this down to a really low heat, and I'm going to leave this to simmer until all of the liquid has been absorbed into the other ingredients, and then all I'm simply going to do is serve it, and that's it. So my quinoa is cooking on the hob, and I have transferred the fish balls to a baking tray, and I'm going to pop this in the oven for about 15 minutes now. As you can see, all the liquid has disappeared from the quinoa, so that means it's cooked. So I'm going to set this aside and wait for the fish balls to cook. Now, the fish balls have cooked, and I can tell because the fish is coming away from itself quite easily. So I'm going to remove these from the oven, and I'm going to serve up now. That's how you make my delicious salmon and chorizo fish balls on a herb and tomato quinoa, and that recipe I will link in the description box below for you. This smells so good, I'm off to eat it now. So for now, that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to give me a big thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and please feel free to leave any comments below, and please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. See you all soon. Bye.